Good morning, everybody. We would like to take this opportunity to welcome you back to our channel where we tell the unsung tales of faith, family, and the challenges of remaining united in a troubled world. Don't forget to follow, and enable notifications if you haven't already. You won't ever miss any of our passionate content thanks to this. We're going to discuss a Daystar Drama series today that will teach you something and make you feel something. In this article, we will discuss the negative aspects of Joni Lamb's contentious marriage to Dr. Doug Weiss. The marriage has surprised the Daystar Ministry in addition to her family. This story contains lessons, suffering, and a call to discernment. It contains threats from well-known individuals as well as heartfelt requests from her own kids. It's time to get started. In order to completely comprehend the topic, let's first review the key occasions that preceded this problematic marriage. Marcus Lamb, Joni's late husband, passes away on November 21st, 2021. The deadline for the funeral is January 27th, 2022. After 30 years of marriage, Doug and Lisa Weiss have filed for divorce. It is May 31st, 2022 today. The dates of Doug and Lisa's official separation are June 4th to 9th, 2022. According to Joni, she and Doug have been speaking over the phone. July 2022 is the date. Denise Bogg is coaching both Doug and Lisa Weiss. In August 2022, Joni and Doug decide to start dating. In October 2022, Joni's $37,000 holiday resort bill is being paid with Daystar credit cards. May 2023 is the date. Joni charges an additional $60,000 each night at the same resort. On June 10th, 2023, Joni and Doug will tie the knot. August 2023 is the date. Jonathan and Susie Lamb lose their jobs while the Daystar board is meeting. Despite opposition from her children and other influential Christians, Joni proceeded with the marriage. Let's first examine the opinions of those who disagree with her, beginning with her children. I'll start by discussing the opinions expressed by Joni's kids, particularly her son, Jonathan Lamb. His heartfelt letter to his mother illuminates the suffering occurring within the family, which most people would not have expected. The family seems to be under a lot of stress based on Jonathan's letter. According to his article, Jimmy claimed that Susie and I were impolite when we expressed our concerns during that exchange. You threatened to terminate us because we refused to read user comments that were complimentary of Doug. Susie and Jonathan believed that their roles in the church and their beliefs were being disregarded in order for Joni to marry. They expressed their feelings of fear and hurt in the letters they exchanged. Jonathan claimed that the situation was unfeasible, despite the fact that they attended the wedding to express their love for one another. Let's now examine the letter written by Pastor Valerie Hartwell, which is both depressing and incensed. Valerie's husband of 29 years, Pastor Roy Hartwell, passed away in March 2023. Regarding the date and circumstances of Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss, she claims to have serious reservations. It is accurate for Valerie to state in her letter that I would actually dare say that there were hundreds of communications with Joni Lamb. There were numerous conversations with Joni Lamb. People who were intelligent, others who weren't, and some who didn't take their word seriously all advised caution. Pastor Valerie Hartwell signed one of the letters. This is her open letter to Joni. She also lost her spouse. This is what she told this individual based on your back and forth conversations. After our conversation over Thanksgiving 2023, I wrote you a letter expressing my feelings on my worries about your unexpected marriage. I am also a widow. Prior to his passing in March 2023, my spouse, Senior Pastor Roy Hartwell, and I were wed for 29 years. The speed at which you fell in love astounded me. In your wedding video and engagement announcement, you introduced Doug with Jimmy Evans. When I saw it, I contacted Jimmy and you, as Daystar's president, for using Jimmy to disparage Doug's ex-wife in order to keep your marriage intact. Before beginning a new relationship, you and your children should have had time to grieve and adjust to losing their father and grandfather. I informed Dr. Doug, as you prefer to call him. I believe you deserve this call, therefore that's what I did. As a psychologist, Doug ought to have known better than to disturb a widow and her family who were struggling with sorrow at such a young age. He's embarrassed, but you, as Daystar's president, mother, and grandma, are even more ashamed for allowing this repulsive and immoral marriage to take place. Daystar and your family are no longer together. I emailed you and you responded almost immediately telling me not to compare the length of your misery to mine. What do you mean, Joni? You jumped into this relationship without even waiting 6 months for Doug's divorce to be finalized. To try to convince your son Jonathan that you were struggling with Marcus's passing, you and your friend Tom gathered around him. In an attempt to convince everyone that being a widow was difficult for you, you even authored a book during the storm, which is patently untrue. According to Doug, Jesus gave his life so that we could enjoy satisfying sex. On Thanksgiving 2023, when I did write to you, I instructed you to address that. I was explaining to you how hearing a Christian doctor say that will make it difficult for South African children to recover, and how it will simply make their transgressions appear more serious to a pedophile, prostitute, or other sex offender. I was unaware that Jonathan and Susie were struggling due to their daughter and that your new husband at Daystar was taking precedence over them. I was unaware of the mental anguish they were experiencing due to their young daughter. My mother used to tell me this: no one can ever take your children, even though there are many males. You have left your children to be with Doug, a man who has caused marital issues for millions of people, including wise widows, because you are so proud of yourself. Using the so-called false promises that you were given because you kept them as an excuse for your hasty remarriage is simply ridiculous. Prophecy should be consistent with the Bible. I hate to be the one to break the news to you, Joni, but the promises you clung to so tenaciously and even discussed in your book to persuade others to accept your marriage were nothing more than falsehoods. Do the right thing and leave service if you still have the strength to do so. You have created a great deal of suffering for your children, grandchildren, and Daystar because you prioritized your personal demands over the needs of the Lord. For their sake, you ought to leave the military. Take some time to look after your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being while you and Doug are together. Your husband is an excellent psychotherapist, therefore I'm confident that Dr. Doug can assist you with transferring Daystar's ownership to your son Jonathan, who is the legitimate successor. Pastor Valerie Hartwell of Jesus Unlimited Church in Washington, D.C., says that before you go to sleep, you should declare that you are a loving and caring mother and demonstrate your love in a way that helps your children, granddaughters, and grandchildren fulfill their God-given destiny, callings, and future for Daystar and the Lord. Despite their strength, Valerie's comments are laced with fear. According to Joni, the loss of her children and grandchildren is more significant than her connection with Doug. Valerie also uses what she claims are our predictions to cast doubt on the marriage. According to her, every forecast needs to align with what the Bible says. What are the feelings of those of you who have been fortunate? Did Valerie seem excessively harsh, or should people be concerned about what she wrote? Please share your thoughts in the box below. Another individual coming out in this new case is Denise Bogg, a minister and key advisor. It's evident from Denise's letter that she is quite concerned about how Joni's decision may impact her spiritual life. Welcome to the Lamb family, Denise. She writes to the Lamb family, I am writing this letter with a heavy heart in my heart. I was really afraid when I listened to Joni's talk during our meeting last week prior to the baby shower. She seemed to be someone I had never met before. Right now, it appears like a spirit of doubt has seized control of her. As she told me about something Doug said to her that was really impolite for a Christian woman, she grinned. In contrast to the Joni Lamb I knew before, it gave the impression that she was happy. When someone flatters you with the intention of seducing you, you are being duped and lured. The actions of the wicked spirit might help you identify your spiritual adversary. People are more prone to lie themselves when they are under the influence of a deceptive spirit. There is a dishonest spirit that initially gains entry by using charm. A man will attempt to impress a lady if he wants to identify her weakness. Women are easily swayed by others when they fall for the charm fallacy. You shouldn't be near the works of darkness that don't produce anything positive, according to Galatians 5. You ought to correct them instead. There are two things we can do when it gets dark. To deal with it, either laugh at it and get along with it, or confront it head on. As a result, in this instance, praise comes before lying. A person allows someone else to deceive them when they fall for charm. The opponent may see all of your flaws when someone flatters you. When Joni and Doug were first meeting, I informed her that I was concerned about Doug, but she refused to listen and instead spoke highly about Doug. This is when I awoke. I was aware that a spirit of deceit had afflicted her. I advised her to exercise caution when it came to things she had strong sentiments about in the past. When someone is possessed by a spirit of deception, they will begin to appear before you as someone you are unfamiliar with. In the past, they would never have spoken the things they are saying now. I would like to discuss my concerns regarding Daystar because of this. The action is an assault on Daystar. Because Marcus and Joni had such high expectations for Daystar throughout their time together, viewers won't be duped. They will be able to see through the deception at that moment. People will realize something is amiss when they see Joni's alterations, and the number of viewers will drastically decline. They won't be duped since Marcus Lamb has been their leader for a long time. They will be able to distinguish between the previous and current leadership and will be aware that something is amiss. Marcus Lamb, a member of the Daystar family, has been in charge. He was a fervent advocate of right and truth. The Lord has showed me that Doug is being harmed by the enemy. If Joni caves in to Doug's pressure and assists him in leading, Daystar viewers will be able to determine that he is lying. He is actually a wolf masquerading as a sheep.